What if I told you that you're using Chat GPT wrong and there was ways you could get customized versions personalized to you that saves you time each and every time you use it? That's Custom GPTs. These are personalized versions built in Chat GPT where you can create your own, no coding needed, just fill out a form, upload a document and you're done. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that so you can build your own for you to use or your business. I'm going to go through some common business use cases to show you how this can be applied in real life. So let's jump in. So those of you who've got a keen eye for detail, on my last video about prompt engineering, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It'll be useful for this one. You can see over here on my ChatGPT screen, you've got these icons on the left-hand side. So where you'd usually go to create a new chat here, I've got some custom, these are called Custom GPTs down the left-hand side. So why are these important? So beforehand, when we went into the prompt engineering side of things, you have to, say for example, if you went into Chat GPT, you have to completely, to give it the context and get the output you're looking for, you've got to give it all the prompt again. You've got to write out every time you want to ask it something, you have to put, do you give it a role, give it the context, give all of that. So if you're using it regularly and you don't save some chats when you do them, they'll come to a memory limit at the end. So you'll need to start new ones. If you're using Chat GPT for the same thing again and again, you don't want to be logging in and just going, I have to spend 5 minutes giving it a prompt to get the answers you want. So this is where custom GPTs come in really handy, because you can basically upload that, save it in a GPT, a custom GPT, and then you've got access to that and you can just use that customized one just for you every single time. So I'll show you here, for example, the difference. So say if we're on ChatGPT at the moment. So I said, write me a social media post. So you see here, ChatGPT does what it does, come up with fairly generic answer. Maybe useful. It's not very good because we haven't given it much context. If we were to dial into a prompt, put a lot more effort into it, give it some more context, you'd get a much better answer. But say, for example, if we look over here on the left, I've got a social media manager GPT custom made for my business, Align AI. So let's now try put the exact same user prompt in here and see the examples that we get. So as you can see, here's a massive difference. The format's completely different. It's referencing my agency here because it understands the context of who it's doing the post for. If you look here as well, it's giving me strategy notes on terms of what to do. So I'll go into more detail later on in the next steps of how we've done this, but it just goes to show you the difference. If you can set up your own GP yourself, it's going to give you much more personalized answers. So here you've got one that's related just to me, just to my business. And ChatGPT is good, but the limitation is that it doesn't know about anything that's not publicly available. So if it's your business, personal to you, it's not going to be able to assume that. So here you can upload information that's personal to you, personal to your situation. And then, like I said, look at the results you get a much more tailored post. Because basically what I've done here is I've fed it a load of information about the best practices for social media posts. So it's accessing that. I'll show you in a moment. It's accessing that and then giving guidance based off the back of that. So that just goes to show the use of it. I'll show you how to make one now. So let me show you where to find them. So you've got on the left-hand side here, these are some of the ones that I use, but you've got Explore GPTs here. So if you click on that, these are all the ones that are custom, that are all pre-made by OpenAI. So if you have a look through here, you've got all different ones that are pre-made for certain things. So if you've got a video maker, you've got ones for travel. If you have a look through, there are some useful ones here that are sort of pre-made, ready for certain things. You've got ones for coding down here. You've got copywriting ones. So like I say, if you're not the most technical with when it comes to creating them and you're not sure how to use them straight away, try with different ones to see how you think they're going to work. That's where to find them on the GPT store. If you go up here to the top right-hand corner, we've got create. So if you click on your own one, so you've got two options. You can either create on the left tab, which is basically it will do it for you. It will sort of prompt you in terms of how you want it. The results of that aren't particularly great, so we're going to make our own one here and configure so you can personalize exactly how you want it. So in terms of use cases for this, you've got, these can be applied in many different ways. So the one I'm going to make today is going to be a HR GPT. So it could be used in terms of inside businesses for employees to contact and ask questions. So say, for example, a manager's not available, or HR, maybe even working from home, like I was just asking my last post. If you don't know anything that's related to your business, you can just log onto here, ask the chatbot, and it will give you the answer, and more than the answer in most cases. So it has loads of different applications. I'll go into the more detail later. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to be making one as a HR assistant for my agency, Align AI. So I made this earlier, so I'll copy and paste this in and show you. So let's go with Align AI HR 2 and the description. This is just a short description about what it does. So we'll go, so you copy that description. So just give it basic, you're a HR assistant who employees can contact for questions regarding HR matters. And then this is where the next part comes in. So if you did watch my last video in terms of prompt engineering, this is where the prompt goes. So in this part, I've given it, I'll copy and paste it in. I'll show you in more detail, give you some tips in terms of what you can put in here. So going back to my last video on prompt engineering, here we want to give it a role. So I've said you're a friendly assistant, you've got vast experience in corporate HR settings, you'll be asked questions related to company policy for which you can access an employee handbook. Context. So this is where you give it some information about what it's for. So I'm giving it information. Obviously, this is just the mock one. I don't have 50 employees. It's just me at the moment, but it's just gives it some context to base its answers around. So for this example, I've said I'm an automation agency with 50 employees. Sometimes with a company of this size, there are conflicts between employees and managers, and they're unable to get assistance. So that's what their task is going to be. The task, you are to answer all of the questions using vast experience of corporate HR settings and HR law, give advice, and when it's specific information relating to Align AI, you're to reference the employee handbook, which I'll go on to later, as the knowledge base. Tone, this can vary. Obviously, the task and all of them, you can set those to whatever use case is better for you. We looked at one earlier with a social media advisor. That can be one thing. You could have a sales assistant. In this one, as I said, it's HR. And that will dictate what responses you want. So in this one, it's really important they're empathetic. So if an employee's coming to you with concerns, you don't want just what normal Chat GPT would do and just give a blunt, vague, generic answer. You want to be able to be empathetic, address the concerns of the employee and just reassure them, basically. So this is where you put in there. So I've put here, it's important that you're empathetic to employee concerns and problems. You should be professional in your feedback and not judgmental. You should explain the concerns. You should then explain how the concerns raised will remain confidential. And then the last point is sort of key points or notes. One thing to bear in mind is when we add the knowledge base, I'll show you what that is next. If you add that knowledge base, a lot of the time when you ask your custom GPT a question, it will say, as seen in your knowledge base, and a lot of the times you don't want it to say that, you just want it to use the information. So if you put here, never say to the user that you're using information provided by a knowledge base, because it should appear authentic, and to stick to HR queries if it's related to business or anything else outside the scope of what you want the custom GPT to do, then it should redirect people somewhere else. So that's the instructions, conversation starters. So when you go onto Chat GPT, if you look here on the right hand side, if you're on Chat GPT, it will have different examples for questions and sort of conversation starters. So here, the one are, I need to apply for annual leave. Just three random things that you could want to ask HR. So right, and you've seen that's filled those in there on the right hand side. And knowledge base. So this is really important. So here, anything that ChatGPT couldn't have access to on the internet and anything you haven't put in your prompt, this is where it's going to go to access. So what I've used for mine, I've got a document here. So basically I've created a sort of mock employee handbook for my agency with, let's say you might get these from your employer. If you're working in a large business, it might be 40 pages. You get it on your first day, never look at it again. You're unsure of any of the information or even where to find it. So this is a really good resource to give to your HR bot. And then it just means that rather than employee, say for example, they're new, say for example, they're too embarrassed to approach HR, or they're working from home, they don't have a manager to contact, they can just log in here and they'll have access to all this information. So it's just some basic points of things you'd likely find in an employee handbook. To upload file and just upload that document. And yeah, basically when you're uploading this document, what you'll find is you can use any different, you can have a PDF. Some people, you can upload books, you can upload full books of potentially, I don't know, sales books that you use it as a sales trainer for your employees. And you have a sales book that if employees ask it questions, they're unsure if it will give them answers relative to that context of the book that you're trying to train them on. Give it PDFs. I think you can give it websites and video links and things like that. On my social media one, what I did was I went across like 10 YouTube videos of good sales practices. put those into a document of all the suggestions or things that you should do, and then uploaded it as a document to that. So whenever I'm asking for social media suggestions, it'll always give them in context to what the so-called experts suggest online, which is another useful application. When you go down here, you want it to have web search. I leave Canvas as it is. Do you want image generation? Some people won't. For this example, we don't need it. And we'll turn that on. Additional settings. So this is where it comes down to a security concern. So a lot of people say, for example, if you're using this internally in your company, you don't want a conversation between one of your employees and HR or a HR bot. You don't really want that being used within OpenAI for them to train. So go into additional settings, always turn that off. And then that will mean it will just stay within the confines of this chat. And now it's looking, we need a picture, don't we? So you go up here, you can use DALL-E, which is their image generator. This will create a picture for you based on the prompts that you've given it. You don't have to do anything. You just click create image. It will come up with something. HR, give it a moment. So that's our picture. You can put anything. My other ones, I've got my company logo. You can put anything you want on there. You can name the bot whatever you want. Custom GPT, whatever you want as well. So you try it from here. So one of the good things to test before you launch it is if we look at the employee handbook. So what we want to do is we want to be asking it general questions to test its sort of understanding of what we're asking it, but then also ask some questions that it wouldn't know from this employee handbook. So let's say if we start with a generic one saying, I need to apply for annual leave. This is something that Chat GPT wouldn't know. It wouldn't know the company. It wouldn't know. It would need a lot more context, whereas this is going to be specific from the knowledge base you've just given it. So if we click here and say, I need to apply for annual leave, it should guide us as per the knowledge base that we've uploaded. So let's have a look. And as you can see there, it's taking it straight from the knowledge base. It's saying, if you work here, follow these steps, put you into the portal where you can apply, giving you all the additional information. Then it sends you need help with the request and offered additional help. So even something as basic as that, if you look at that in terms of a company of 50 employees, whether I know some companies, a lot of them have online portals and things like that, but just to have the ease of use of just being able to log on, say you're at home, you can't get hold of your manager, whatever, you just log in, ask it a question, and then you get an instant accurate response. Let's say try something a bit more complex, but not related. So first of all, I do not tolerate bullying. We're a very anti-bullying company. But no, in all seriousness, with something like this, what we should see is from the instructions we gave it, we should see an empathetic response. So we should get the GPT given a clear understanding of what's being asked, and then to give an empathetic response and understanding and some guidance to the employee. So let's see if we get that in practice. So as you can see, I'm really sorry you experienced this. That's the empathy coming through based on our knowledge base, but also the employee, also the HR understanding that we gave the GPT. So not just included in that knowledge base. We said it was really experienced in, if we look at the top here, you're vast experience in corporate HR settings. So if you see that there, that's what it'll also be referencing. So basically you've got an expert HR assistant who not only knows everything about HR, but they also have a complete understanding of your company and can give tailored advice specific to that. So step one, it's given a step-by-step guide. It's addressed the concerns empathetically. It's given a step-by-step guide of what the employee should do with all links to where they should go. And yeah, it's just again some context-dependent things at the end. So once that's done, we can go create. And when you create, you've got two options. So you've got three options. So you can do only you, or you can do anyone with the link. So if you want to keep it private to yourself, so if you're using this as an assistant or something that you're just going to be asking it repeated questions yourself, then use just only me. If you want to be sharing it potentially with team members or employees or say other team members, use anyone with a link, because then you can have everyone accessing it at the same time. So I'm going to do just only me for this one. Save that. Or you could publish it in the GPT store, so you can actually make money off these things, sell them to businesses, create them, and have other people worldwide use them. But that's something for this demonstration when we're not going to go into. Right, we'll close that. One thing actually I didn't cover is actions. So it's a bit more advanced, so I didn't want to go into it on this video. It's a bit more beginner friendly. But with actions, it's basically something you can insert tools or have it reference tools outside of Chat GPT. So if there's any external services you want to use, say for example, you can deploy these on your website and you want your website to be able to access different tools. You can add actions. It's just a bit more complex, but it takes the capabilities of it to another level. So this is more of a beginner friendly option. So let's say if we go back to my Chat GPT now, we have Align AI HR2 on the side. If we click on that, we can ask it any question. We can ask, if you were to log in now and you were to see this, anyone who's not too familiar with Chat GPT think they're using the same thing. It's exactly the same interface, but it's personal to your company. It's personal to whatever use case you've used it for. As I said, these can go into HR, sales training, personal assistance. You can have copywriting. You can have these deployed to your website. So you can have, when you go onto your website, you've got one of these answering customer queries, and that will have all your frequently asked questions as a knowledge base. So it can interact with people online. Like I said, the possibilities are huge with this. This was just more of a basic understanding to show you, so you can go away, build your own and start experimenting with it. But you can see everything's launched here. We can say what to do. So that's something ChatGPT would have no context over, but here, someone who works for the company, in theory, would be able to say, a lot of this comes down to being more efficient. So say a lot of it, you can use it a lot in onboarding. When a lot of new people start a company, everyone has a lot of questions. So a lot of people are a bit embarrassed. There's a stupid question to ask. I don't want to sort of embarrass myself, or the manager's so busy that they're taking time with all the other new starters that you can't get the support you need. So something like this, it might seem trivial, asking what time to go on lunch, but if you've got an assistant there full time, 24/7, that whenever you're working, it's someone's there at your beck and call who happens to be an expert in what you're asking, that's hugely valuable, and it frees up the manager's time. It makes sure everyone else has got a point of contact to reach out to. And in theory, so for example, if you look at mine now, I've got a social media manager, I've got an automation expert, and I've got HR. You could have 5 to 10 of these. You could have one for sales training, one for payroll, one for HR. Every department in your company, you could sort of have a helper assistant, and that's just going to free up any sort of urgent issues, any firefighting's taken away from the main team, and you've got an expert there who can answer all these first responses to save time. So it's just worth having an experiment, playing around with yourself, and creating a valuable knowledge base. So when you log into ChatGPT, you don't go to the normal ChatGPT. You can say, right, all I'm doing is asking questions about social media. So I'm just going to go to my social media manager. Every question I ask is going to know exactly the answers that I want and be tailored exactly to me. So I don't have to go through the process of prompting it every time. So very useful to use in your personal life and with your business. Have a play around with it. And there you have it. Now you can create your own GPT, either take this to use in your personal life, your business. This is just a beginner's guide. So you can take these one step further, add in actions and automations. Go and try it out for yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one.